Hello everyone, welcome to The Old Man and the Read. My name is Jerry. Today I'm going to talk about one of the writers that is considered perhaps one of the most important authors of the 20th century, and that's Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Marquez was born in 1927 and died in the year 2014. But he was a Colombian novelist and short story writer. He won the 1972 Neustadt International Prize for Literature, and in 1982 he won the Nobel Prize in Literature. But he was just an incredibly good writer, and he's best known for his use of magical realism, and that's basically the mix of magical elements with realistic situations. But he wrote some really entertaining and fascinating books, so I'll show you what I have and say something about them. The first book I have was published in 1967, and I think this is by far his best known book. But this is 100 Years of Solitude, and this is a book that's just overflowing with magical realism. But the basic story in it is it's a multi-generational story that begins with Jose Buendia. He's wandering in a jungle, through the jungle, and he eventually begins or founds a town he calls Macondo. The town is isolated from the outside world, but it is occasionally visited by gypsies. And this goes on for a while, and eventually the town is discovered by the outside world, and it just slowly begins to grow. And then eventually a railroad comes in, and an American banana plantation is established, and this kind of eventually leads to the town's demise. But the story just follows through the Buendia family through several generations, and it's really, there's just a huge amount of magical realism throughout it. The next book I have is collected stories of Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This was published in 1983. And this basically is a collection from 3 short story collections. The first one, Eyes of a Blue Dog, and one of the stories from that is the title story, Eyes of a Blue Dog. And this is a story about a man who is dreaming, and he dreams that he's having a conversation with a woman. But then when he wakes up, he completely forgets about that dream. The next story from the title of the book that it came from is Big Mama's Funeral, and this story is One of These Days. And this is basically follows a dentist who is convinced to pull a tooth from the mayor. And then the third book in this collection, The Incredible and Sad Tale of Irindira and Her Heartless Grandmother. And the story I've picked from that one is titled A Very Old Man with Enormous Wings. And this is about an angel who falls into a town, and then he becomes a big attraction, and lots of people come to see him, but he doesn't speak or interact with anyone, and he just waits until his wings eventually heal, and then he flies away. The next book, published in 1985, is Love in the Time of Cholera. And this is about a young couple who fall in love, but her father doesn't approve of the man she's in love with, so their engagement is broken off. She then meets a doctor and marries him, and they grow old together, but the doctor then eventually dies. In the meantime, her first boyfriend had never fallen out of love with her, and after the doctor has died, he proclaims his love to her, and their love renews in their old age. And this was 51 years, 9 months, and 4 days after their first affair. The next book I have, published in 1989, this is The General in His Labyrinth. And this is a fictional story told about the last days of Simon Bolivar. Bolivar is credited with liberating South America from Spanish colonialism. But this is a story that takes place during his dying days, and even in his dying days, he's still sending officers off for guerrilla warfare or guerrilla missions against the governments of his enemies. The next book, Strange Pilgrims, published in 1992, and this is a short story collection. Some of the stories I'll talk about is one titled Bon Voyage, Mr. President. And this is a story about an ousted South American president who's in Geneva for medical treatment. Another one, I Only Came to Use the Phone. And this is a story about a woman whose car has broken down, and so she attempts to use a telephone, but then she's locked away as a lunatic. Another story, 17 Poisoned Englishmen. This is about a woman who wants to see the Pope, and she's staying in a hotel 1 floor above 17 Englishmen. And the last story I'll mention is The Trail of Your Blood in the Snow. And this is about a young bride who, on her honeymoon, pokes her finger with a rose. This becomes infected, and she's taken to a Paris hospital for treatment. And so her new husband then goes to park the car. And when he comes back, he's told he has to wait until Tuesday. That's the only day they allow visiting, and that's 6 days away. And the last book I have is Of Love and Other Demons, published in 1994. And this is about a 12-year-old girl whose hair has never been cut, but she's bitten by a rabid dog. Although she's from a noble family, she was basically raised by the slaves of the family. And so after she's bitten, she starts acting or behaving very weirdly, and her father thinks that she is possessed. So he sends her to a convent for an exorcism, but the exorcist priest falls in love with her. Those are the books I've read by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Exceptionally good writer. He had a lot more books than this that I haven't read, but Anyway, I want to thank you for watching the video, and hopefully I'll see you again on another. Thanks.